How to get started real estate investing. All you need to do is get that first property. And that's what today's show is all about. We've got a great guest on the show. His name is Jarrett. He started on his real estate investing journey about 2 years ago. He and his wife, both teachers, and they're here. He is here right now to share his story with us on this real estate investing journey. Jarrett, great to see you, my friend.
Hey, great to see you. Thanks for having me this morning.
Absolutely. So give our audience a little backstory about you. How did you get started in real estate investing, and how did you know that this was going to be the investing vehicle for you and your wife?
Sure. Got started a couple of years ago, honestly, just by listening to your podcast and hearing a little bit from a friend about some of the things that you and Natalie are doing. And, he recommended, hey, check this thing out. I think this is really a neat way to go. So I started listening to your podcast and watching all of your YouTube videos, and started to realize pretty quickly that, I was much more interested in accumulating assets and investing my retirement that way than I was to try to go through any of the other conventional methods, and got started that way. That led me to having a couple introductory phone calls with your team at Morris Invest, and within just a few weeks, I was already starting to really think more about my journey in real estate investing. And in a short time after that, you guys found a fantastic duplex property for me to get my feet wet with. And so, a few weeks after that, it was done. I had, my first investment property, and I've been kind of paying attention to how that looks for the last 2 years, and it's been great. It's worked out really, really well.
So you've owned this duplex now for 2 years. When you bought it, when you bought it from us, there was a tenant already in place on both sides of the duplex. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, and I actually bought it through my Roth IRA. I've accumulated some retirement funds through a Roth IRA for the last 10, 15 years. And I've just been, I've just kind of left that sit, and I've had an investor, managing that for me. And I went to move that over to a self-directed IRA so that I could invest in real estate. And, that process was a little bit scary for me at first, but, it actually wasn't that bad. And there was tons of help for me along the way. And, it really went smoothly. So I've got my property through a Roth IRA now, and it's been really hands off and really easy to manage.
And you worked with our team on the setup of the self-direction account?
Yeah. And prior to that, I had never even heard of a self-directed IRA. I didn't know it was possible. And after going through that process and seeing, how much options there were out there for how you invested, into your retirement, it really was a new experience for me. And I'm really glad to have had the opportunity to just see what that looks like, and to see that there are other options out there other than just going through, more of the traditional methods. And especially, with what's going on right now, I'm really excited to have my retirement wrapped up in assets, and, making, passive retirement income through that.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing. Obviously, we're right in the middle of this chaos right now with the coronavirus, and our phones at our office have been ringing off the hook because people are really trying to figure out this self-direction, the IRA process. And they understand it's a much safer investment. How can I invest in real estate using one of my retirement funds like this? So take us through that process, because I think this would help our audience a lot, especially if someone's sitting there right now that has some money in a retirement account. I think you worked with our team on this, and maybe you worked with Haley on our team, and we've got—
I did, yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah, we've got some experts in the self-direction world, and anytime we get together and have a big team meeting, I'm always so blown away by some of the techniques and things that the team brings to me even. So I learn from them. So talk about that process. Yeah. You had money in a separate account. How long did it take to set up? What did that process look like?
Sure. Well, yeah, I did work with Haley, and she was great, just going through every step of what was going to happen. She kept me well informed the whole way, and really, she drove the ship. I told her what I wanted to do. We got together and partnered with what made sense for me and what I had, and she was able to come up with a perfect property for what I needed, and started the process of getting that money moved over sent me all the forms and just kind of walked through it with me. And once I had that filled out and talked with my current financial advisor about how to get that money turned over, it was just a matter of signing a few pages of documents and getting my account set up with the janitor for the self-directed. And it, after a week or so, it was pretty much all done and all set up, and it was very hassle-free for me. She took care of me through the whole process, and it was a lot simpler than I imagined it to be.
Yeah, the self-direction team in our office is fantastic. They're very, very good, and usually it takes them like 10 minutes to even set up the account in the first place, and then it's the rollover process depending on what account.
Right. The rollover took a little bit longer than setting up the account, but even that was really pretty simple. And I had a little bit of an issue at the beginning with getting the funds released, and Haley jumped on a conference call with me and walked through it with me and was right there. Any questions that I had, or she really drove that whole process. So she made it so simple. I couldn't be happier with how it went.
That's great. I love to hear that. And so this process with the self-direction account is really powerful vehicle for people. If people want more information on that, we've got a whole video series here on the channel that we can walk through that whole process of using self-direction for real estate investing. So thank you for sharing that part of it. And also I loved what you said is that it was a customized phone call for you. So you had a certain amount of funds to work with. I mean, the way that we operate in our office is not like a cookie cutter approach. So we tried to figure out, okay, what funds did you have to work with? Did you get financing? Did we get you financing on the property as well?
Yeah, for part of it. Yeah. I was able to purchase part of the property with my rollover, and then the rest was financed through a loan inside the IRA.
Did you even know you could do that? Because I got to be honest, when people are on the phone with us, they don't have no idea that they could use a part of their self-direction account, their retirement funds, and then get financing that we provide on the other part of it. So did you know that at all?
Yeah. I had no idea. I didn't know that type of loan existed. Like I said, this was just really a whole new journey for me, and I'm very hesitant to make big changes and big decisions about things, especially when it comes to retirement and things like that. And it's really strange how when I started hearing about this and how you could use this platform for your IRA, for me, I don't jump into things very quickly, but it took me about 5 seconds to realize this is just the way to go, and jumped right into it. I'm glad I did. I don't know, quite possibly how I was able to do that so quickly. It's just not part of my personality, but it just all seemed to make sense. And I had no idea that this was out there. I'm just so grateful to you guys for putting that out there and making it something that's well known to the rest of us who wouldn't have known otherwise that this was a way that you could go.
Well, thank you for saying that. We try. It's hard to educate people around. It's a topic that can be a little wonky sometimes for people.
Yes.
Self-directed IRA. It's a little
right.
It's not doesn't flow off the tongue as easily as like buying.
No, and I did get some of that feedback from some of the other people that I work with and some other financial advisors and stuff. Are you sure? That was a question that I received a lot. Are you sure you want to do this? I mean, the stock market was going really well at that point. My IRA that I had set up already was getting 10 to 11% return, and it just felt right to me, and it was a direction I wanted to go to kind of start building some legacy wealth that was going to help me and my family in the longer term, and it was just a no-brainer. I had a lot of people question it, but then once I sat down and explained to them what I understood about the process, they turned it around and started asking me about how this worked, as opposed to trying to tell me that it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So now let's talk about where we currently are right now, because obviously in the midst of all the stock market chaos and cryptocurrency chaos, real estate, as I believe, is a really strong and safe harbor. And the news today about recession-proof markets and being in these markets like in Texas and other spots, which according to CNBC and the reports that came out just yesterday about these recession-proof markets, and that being one of them where you own your property, which is amazing. So,
yeah.
But when you think about your future in the current climate, you're home right now, you're both teachers, so this must be interesting time for you. Where do you want your retirement to go from here, given the current climate that we're in?
I really, my goal is I want to continue to build on what what I'm doing with this real estate investment. I'd like to have 5 or 6 more properties here, in the next 10, 15 years, and just continue to accumulate that. That's the goal for my wife and I. And I just can't think of anything other than investing in assets right now. It makes the most sense. And for us, I'd love to do it more. And as teachers, we have to be very careful with what we do with the income that we do have. And this seems to be the most safe and secure way to continue to build some legacy wealth for us and our 3 daughters.
That's great. So I want to talk about the duplex a little bit. So can you describe the cash flow from the 2 tenants in the property? It's a duplex with each has 3 bedrooms on each side, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And
each one is rented out separately, and I've had occupancy in at least one of them for the entirety of since I've owned the duplex. There has been a couple times where there's been a little bit of turnover in one of the units, but the management company that I have has worked really hard at making sure that they get it set up and ready to go for the next tenant to come in. They've been communicating with me the entire way through the process, and it's really been pretty maintenance free for me, and I've appreciated the updates that I would get. But I really just have complete trust that it's going to continue to be rented out, and both units are going to be doing just fine. Especially now I think the rental market's going to be more and more something that people are looking for. So the cash flow has been as expected, and I think that as we continue, it's going to just get better.
Yeah, well, we have an incredible demand for rental property in this country right now, and we have a housing shortage. So that's why if you look at what's happening with the coronavirus and a lot of the different builders, so you would think, okay, essential workers right now, hospitals, grocery store employees getting food to people, right? Well, also builders are being able to continue building because we have a housing shortage in this country, and so they're considered part of essential workers. So we continue to build in our markets right now. We need housing. So you're absolutely right about that. That's not going to go away anytime soon. Let's talk about the numbers on it, the cash flow. What are you getting from each tenant on each side?
Each tenant, I'm getting about $600 a month for each unit.
Great. Well, I love it. So how did your wife, did you have to do any convincing with your wife? Sometimes it goes one way or the other, right? She's all in, you're not. You're all in, she's not.
Yeah, I explained to her a little bit about what I was doing. And I actually started sitting down with her, and I would just pull up your YouTube videos, starting from the beginning of the process, going through all of the self-direction, and she's very, very trusting in that. When I have a gut feeling about something, she tends to jump on board and be excited about it. And she got through about half of the videos with me and just said, "This sounds awesome. Let's just do it." I trust that she knew that I was looking into it a lot more than she was. And so she jumped right in with me, and she's been just as excited about it. She just likes that I'm paying attention to it and that she doesn't need to.
I love that. If you don't mind, I'd love to share some numbers, if you're okay with that, just on what you had to work with in your retirement account.
Sure.
What the balance then of the loan, because we did non-recourse financing on the property for you, right? So it's not tied to you personally.
Yep.
It's right. So, and that's one thing a lot of people don't even know that non-recourse financing exists, which is the bank, is putting their money on the asset itself, not you. And you put a little bit more down, but then it's not tied to you personally. So it's a really great investment vehicle. So if you might tell me about the numbers a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, that and that's funny. That was my first question with this is, are my kids going to be out of a house, and how does that work? And personally was huge in getting me to take that next step with this decision. But I had just over $50,000 in a Roth IRA. That I was working with, and so the duplex that I was able to get into was closer to $140,000, about $142,000. So I took out a non-recourse loan for about $90,000 to be able to come up with the rest of it to secure the property.
Great. And what does the monthly payment look like for you on that loan?
It's just over $500.
Oh, great. So then you're clearing with, because each side rented for 600, then you're clearing, you're clearing a nice bucket of money there if you account for expenses, maintenance, and other things. Good. That's
Absolutely.
how you build wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, people want to make it harder, but that's how easy it is, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I just wish that I had more to be able to continue the process. Once you get started with it, for me, it's kind of addicting. I mean, I've seen how this has worked, and I've seen the way that, I'm able to cash flow pretty quickly off of this property. And, you start to get excited about that. And you want to put more and more into it and figure out a way to continue down that journey. So that's where we're at now with our family, is what can we possibly do to take the next step?
Yeah, and you snowball, whether it's even pulling some equity out to buy the next one, or using somebody like Fund and Grow or something like that. There's a lot of different mechanisms. But in the meantime, the tenants are building your equity, right? They've got a great place to live. You're providing great housing. They're happy. You're happy because you're able to get into an investment property, provide a great property for someone, and you're building up that equity. And that's how it grows from here. So what's next for you guys?
Right. Well, for us, we're going to try to continue to build our Roth IRA account, and we want to be able to here as quickly as possible, like you said, be able to use either some of the equity that we have or another platform to be able to continue to gain assets and continue to build equity. That's the name of the game for us, and we're completely sold on the idea, and we're all in at this point. So. We're excited about continuing to grow that IRA account and eventually maybe even expand beyond that.
Oh, I love it. I should mention, if anyone wants to book a call with our team, they can. We'll have a link below, and we'll jump on the phone with you and get you on our waiting list for a property if you're interested right now, given all the drama right now in the economy. Yeah. It's been a busy time around the office.
You won't regret it. Do it. It's a great phone call. It changed everything for my wife and I, and we're so glad that we went ahead and made that call. It was great.
Oh, I love it. Well, it's been a real treat getting to know you, Jarrett. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited about the future and how it looks for you and your family. And I just want you to, keep on doing what you're doing. I'm glad that you took action. And, if anyone's watching right now is kind of sitting on their hands about investing in real estate, they're seeing the state of the world right now, what would you say to those people to maybe alleviate some fear?
I would just say it's be informed, go through and listen to the podcasts and the YouTube videos, talk to other people that have done this. I mean, for me, that's really what pushed me forward, was just talking to some people who have gone through this journey, hearing from them, hearing their story. And once I was able to look at both sides of the equation, it just made complete sense. I mean, the more that I found out about this, the more I loved it. But you have to know how the whole thing works. A lot of these things I didn't know were possible. So just get informed and go through and just see if it makes sense for you and your situation, because, there's a lot more out there than what you hear typically, unless you go look for it. So I was really happy that I was pointed in your direction and with Morris Invest, and started watching you and Natalie just break it down and make it look simple. And it just really is. It is that simple. It's not a game. I mean, it's really that easy. The way that you guys explain it was just perfect for us to be able to understand how it would impact our situation. And, it was great. So I would just say, look through some things. Morris Invest makes it really easy on their podcast and on their YouTube videos to be able to understand from start to finish anything that you want to look into. So don't wait. It's a great time to get into it.
I love that. Well, Jarrett, it's been a real treat getting to know you here. I hope you and your wife stay safe during all this craziness right now. I hope you and the family are safe, and enjoy the sunshine down there in Florida, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Clayton. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jarrett. And thanks to all of you for downloading and subscribing to the show. We really appreciate it. Now, I just want you to get rid of the fear in your life. Invest in real, tangible assets, not paper assets, not fake assets, real assets like real estate that produce monthly cash flow. We'll see you next time, everyone.